from one of my emails, the guy said that I ever heard of, what's his name now? I put it down. Of Vince DelMonte. Did I ever hear him? I said, no, never heard of him. He never heard him? I said, no. He says, well, I saw one of his videos and he said, you can't overtrain. And I wanted to know what you think about it. So I said, oh, shit, these guys. I said, all right, let me take a look. I went on YouTube and saw his video. And I tell you, to be honest with you, I could have choked his tongue out of his body. He had the gall, which he didn't look like he had a sign of a muscle, or ever had one, to say you cannot overtrain. I said, who in the world is this man in this world? I mean, and I think he's got quite a few views. I mean, he hadn't the slightest idea of what training is, not the slightest. And he says it's impossible to overtrain. I tell you, to be honest with you, when I saw that, I didn't even want to go any further. I said, this man isn't worth listening to. And there's so many up and coming guys hungry for information that would look at something like that. First of all, he had no sign of any development. I mean, he had some kind of shirt on, no sign of any development himself. You ever heard of burnout? You ever heard of I don't know if you guys did, but this old saying, he left his fight in the gym. In other words, he burnt out. He didn't allow himself to recuperate. Talking about fighters. And they go 3 to 4 rounds because I used to manage a fighter. Not manage him, but I was his nutritional consultant, but we didn't get along too well. James Toney, one of the greatest fighters in the world. He just was hard to get along with. Terrence Ali, I also helped them in nutrition and recovery. They were considered, James Toney, before I got him on a good diet and a proper training and not over push himself because his diet was so poor, he was considered a 5-round fighter. The key to everything, as I said, God, I know I'm getting emotional, but to see such misinformation astounded me. You cannot overtrain. I mean, and you know what's a fascinating thing? Not a one of them have a physique. Not a one of them. You see it? I mean, they take off the shirt, you would believe this guy wouldn't even take off the shirt. But you know what? It's that old saying. If somebody got asked you they don't know and you can say anything. I had a friend called Jimmy Dace. We all used to laugh at Jimmy because Jimmy used to be, if you say, Jimmy, what's nuclear fission? Oh, he knew you didn't know. He'd come, oh, now, nuclear fission? This is what it's a thermothocal and the thing, you know, that's what and we used to look at and laugh because this is the way he was. He was the biggest joke and he knew it. Don't ever ask him a question because he'll give you an answer because he know you don't know. The guys that this guy, I tell you, I'm so angry at the disservice he's doing. He is doing, I laugh at the Hard Twins and all that stuff because they're comedians. But this guy tries to pretend he knows what he's talking about. I mean, I've been in this business, as I said so many times, over 50 years. I know what the body and how it recovers and how you build your body. Hey, I'm not going to brag about it. I was the first man in the world built 21-inch arm. I wonder what he ever built. Looking at him through that shirt he was sitting there, I'm so angry at him. You cannot overtrain. Do you know something? I meet people. Oh, I shouldn't be so upset. I do this, I don't know, because it means so much to me to see such misinformation. And I would never have heard of them. So people are they're searching so. Did I ever heard of, what's his name again? The goddamn it gets me, Vince DelMonte. Who the hell is Vince DelMonte? He said, well, he said you can there's no such thing as overtraining. You know what a lot of these guys do? They say anything that's contrary to what's real because he figured to draw your attention. Everybody, let me tell you something, my good friends. The guys that are working on their bodies or the guys that are looking to develop, please don't listen to these guys. They don't look at a guy that tells you you cannot overtrain and say, well, what have you done to show that? Of course, you can train much harder on juice than you can. Even guys on juice are aware of recovery and know how important it is. And juice really, I mean, you could really bomb the body with juice, you know, because it takes over. Your body's no longer working, the juice is. But you know, you pay for that, which we talked about before. But the only reason I'm making this video is because I have so much damn feeling. It gets me mad at the feeling I have. But I've been through so many years of understanding, trying to understand the body, how it works. And had some guy come along, he didn't look like he lifted any weights in his life. You don't see any muscles nowhere. And he's saying you cannot overtrain. I mean, it's almost outrageous how it comes out of his mouth. And yet these kids are not only kids that are searching, and they think he knows what he's talking about. Let me tell you, my friends, recovery is the key, as I said before, to all bodybuilding. You do not build muscles training. You build it when it breaks down and you need time to recover. And I know from experience, I didn't build the body I did with no steroids, not understanding, breakdown, rebuild. And here's a guy, I'm only doing this because I said, damn it. When you come to me, my friends, you want to get the 411. You're not going to get some guy that knows ass from Chinola trying to tell you you cannot overtrain. Well, I never heard anything like it in my life. I mean, where do these people come with that? And you look at them and you say, what's the example of your theory? What do you look like? What have you done training? Nothing. And I mean, you know, you had this, I'm in a bodybuilding, not a body, also a fight fanatic. I lost a lot of money back in some of these fighters. When I wish I had some of the money now that I put into these fighters. But in any case, when you see a guy that tells you that, then you say, show me an example of your theory. Can't do it because he don't know what a muscle look like. But he knows you don't know. And the vast majority don't. A lot of people are looking for the proper and right road of training. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm not telling you something I heard or read or something I just feel like saying because I want to get people to listen to me. I got a history. I got a legacy. You look at my body, and I built something. These guys don't know what a body looks like. And you know the point is? Your resume is very important. Now, when you see a guy in a steroid body, that's his resume. You can see it's steroids. And I'm not, you got to train. I'm not knocking it on that aspect that all you got to do is take a few pills and stick a needle in you and sit back and read the paper. No, you bust your balls. But I know it's from steroids. I've been around long enough to know how far you can go without them. But the nutrition, I'm only getting into, I'm just so, and I should have made this. I was just so, when I saw that video, I felt so hurt. Because this guy that made this video, he seemed so sincere. Have I ever heard like of somebody to hear about? So I immediately, here it is, late in the morning, I immediately got on my computer. See, who's this guy? Well, I got to look again. Vince DelMonte. Who the hell is he? Because you think you've been around. I figured he'd done something. And the guy said, you ever heard of him? He said, because he said something about trade. He gave me a lot of things that he, talks about. But I just one day, I said, what is the thing you're concerned? He said, you cannot overtrain. I just fell out. I mean, you hear a lot of times, the fighter left his fight in the gym. What does that mean? He burnt out. Burning out is not a new phenomenon. Burnt out simply means you put more demand on the body for it to recover. When you put demands on the body, it gives you extra. By putting demand, the body says it only gives you what you demand of it to a certain point. But you got to give it time to build up that reserve, to build up the glucose, especially fighters, reserve in you. But you got to give it time to do that. And to tell a person you cannot overtrain is, you know how many guys that don't train anymore because they burnt out? Training became dreadful to them. It came to be a pain thinking of it because it warm out. They were tired all the time because it didn't give their bodies time to recover. Fellas, listen. Please examine these fellas. Don't look at a guy that look like he never done anything in his life to tell you how to build your body. If a guy with steroids tell me how to build his body, I'm not going to turn my head because I know he's training. You don't get like that not training. Only thing, the steroids make them like they never would get without it. So I mean, if a guy's like that's got huge muscles and he tells me what he does, I have enough sense to know that it wouldn't apply to me. But a lot of young folks, I know that he trains his ass off to get like that. I am not in the least bit, but they, even with the massive dose of steroids, they even understand recovery and overtraining. And here's this guy looking like they would fire him as a lifeguard. And he has the nerve to say you cannot overtrain. And I'm just making this video now. Fellas, please, examine. When you ever see a guy tells you something, you let your instinct work. Except what example does he have and who supports it? Is anything behind what he's saying? Is it, I mean, I should be here is in early in the goddamn morning and I'm sitting here making a video. This is me. This is me. I've done my thing. You know, I know what I've done my thing. I got a legacy. I'll be 50 years from now, you can read about me because I was number one. First man to build a 21-inch arm naturally. First man. There's a lot of guys have much better bodies than me. But you'll never hear them again because nothing to hear about. Babe Ruth's the first man, I think, that hit 500 home runs. First man. The guy that did quite a few more, I think 100. I'm not into baseball, but I'm aware of it. And the guy that, Hank Aaron, that I think hit 100 or more home runs than him. Who mentions Hank Aaron? Nobody talk about number two, even though number two may have surpassed number one, but number one cannot be surpassed. Two, well, okay, boys, to be continued, I got overexcited. When I saw that email, and I shouldn't be going over emails this late at night. I'm my own worst enemy. I can't go to bed and can't get up. I'm kind of over that shit. But in any case, I had to do. When I got that email, I said, my God, where's this guy coming from? Let me see this. And man, when I saw him and I see him, I said, this man has nice idea. I didn't even listen to the whole video because it turned me off. So anybody tells you you cannot overtrain has the slightest idea what he's talking about.